my wrists is frost. All my women is boss.
You know what it is, man. Knowledge of God, hip hop is real. We are here with the legend, top 50. We here with one of the top 50s, man.
Yeah. Salute to the list, man. Salute to everybody that made that list, man. I think even with names that's on there that's a little bit newer, a lot of people would kind of want to give pushback on. My pushback to them would say, you know, look at the impact that a lot of these people have over a short amount of time. I think a lot of that shit can't really be denied, you know. There's names on there like Jen that people look at and be like, why the fuck is he on here? But once again, if you know, you know. You got to go back to these times and understand that cement block he actually put in the battle rap, you know what I mean? So you could think Cassidy lost every battle he ever been in this era, but what he means to battle, you just can't deny shit like that. So I think it's a valid list. There are some names that I think could be on there.
When people say that, who do you push out there?
That's where you get the drawback, because I'm not in favor of, you know, actually replacing anybody. I'd have to look at it again and see how I feel about what I was seeing as far as the names and shit go. But I don't see myself taking a name off the list that I feel like is rightfully where they, you know, on the list. And the list is not alphabetical. It's in alphabetical order,
exactly.
Not ranked. So it's not like you see your name by this dude and get upset, or under this dude and get upset. I just saw names and I looked at it and I felt like, yeah, this could be considered a top 50 battler. And look at another name. Oh, this could be considered a top 50 battler. And you see it. So, and I didn't really have too many objections with the names that were actually on the list. So
I seen one of the biggest, you know, names that people said that wasn't on it was Easy the Block Captain. And if so, who would you remove and put him on, if you would even remove anybody?
Well, see, so now, and that's the tricky part. So I think if you're to replace somebody,
because this is all time.
Yeah, and that's the point. So I think if you replace somebody to do that, you kind of gotta. It can't be like a snap thing, right? Like, well, okay, well, no, we can just take such and such out. Or I like him more than him, let's just take him out. It don't work like that. Like,
yeah.
It's a lot. We put in a decade of work to even be considered for best anything, you know, top anything. So it's meticulous, and that's what people don't understand. It's very detailed and when it comes to swapping out names and stuff like that, because it's just like, let's say an event is about to go down and you got, you know, Rum Nitty on the card and Rum Nitty can't battle, and Rum Nitty was about to battle, you know, such and such, and Rum Nitty backs off the card, you're gonna want to replace Rum with somebody that can fill those statistics, that you know, more upper echelon type of battler. So these you know, where we get our spots from and stuff like that, it don't come out of nowhere. Like, this is all earned.
Exactly.
So it's names, when you know, when lists like that come out, it's names you expect to see, because you understand how much work people have been putting in. You know, people like Danny Myers. You know, you flip out if there's no Danny Myers on that list, you know, stuff like that. But once again, when we go back to the swapping out, like, I don't know if I'm in the business to say who doesn't belong on this.
Gotcha.
You know, you can absolutely say who you would like to add to it, but if we're sticking at 50, then you're playing the swap game, and that's what things.
Because, you know, I just spoke to France, and, you know, I mentioned Briz Rossi not being on the list. I mentioned Chess not being on the list, and it's hard. But when you look at the list, who do you take off the list? It still goes back to that, you know. And
then and most times I do believe when we get to those conclusions of who we're going to take off and replace with this person and that person, it's going to more be preference than anything. It's not going to be solely based on what got these people on the list in the first place. So, you know, we get to playing that bias game that nobody in battle rap likes anyway, and the favoritism and shit like that. So it gets to that point where it's not even really fun anymore. 'Cause you know, you're arguing about this dude being better than this dude and that dude. And
who done more?
Yeah,
because one thing I like what they did is
those.
they did put stats. And battle rap don't have like much stats, but when it comes to views, to headlines, to things of that nature, some of you guys have done that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? On a high volume, so it does become tough.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's a lot of accolades that, you know, we have that there were people that will probably never get those. You know, there's some things that we have people will probably never get.
Exactly.
And, you know, so you got to kind of tally all that up. And a lot of times it not to say it don't weigh out, but it don't really like measure up. Like, you know, that's why you can't really remove people to add people. You kind of got to just, you know, take your picks and say, I like who I like, or I would prefer this guy over this guy. But at the end of the day, I do think all 50 people, for the most part, have earned their spot. I ain't glanced at every single name, you know, specifically.
And I'm sure if I said every name, you'd be like, yeah, to almost
because,
everybody.
like I said, I didn't really see one that I opposed. And
exactly.
So, I really, you know what I mean? And even if I wasn't on the list, I'm sure people would have came out and, you know,
they would have went crazy.
They would have argued in my behalf and anything like that. But then again, to put JC on the list, who do you take off the list?
Exactly.
And is JC more accomplished in battle rap than the person you're exchanging it for? And that's a lot of what, you know, so.
No, it's a lot of intangibles.
Yeah, a lot of intangibles.